And welcome back to Worlds 2016, where we have just locked our first quarterfinalists. Congratulations, Albus NoX Luna.
Say that again, please.
Albus NoX Luna. The CIS squad is on stage for their final group stage match against G2. And if they win, they secure the first seed. Rox vs CLG will then battle for the only remaining slot left in the group. And if G2 win and play spoiler, Rox can tie if they beat CLG. So all of a sudden with that one win, just everything's turned on its head right now.
Yeah, and we just have two teams with opposite stories, honestly, if we look at this World Championship. One team was expected to do well, get out of groups, failed completely, haven't won a single game. And the other team, they're right now looking like the best team in the group itself, which is completely crazy. Albus NoX Luna surprising everyone, and they deserve all the credit.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, everyone expected them to get fourth in the group. Everyone expected Rox Tigers to get first, but that's been flipped on its head. And if their play has been any indicator of what's to come in this next game, then Albus NoX Luna is looking to probably secure their first place seed moving into quarterfinals. And right now, Rox and CLG are both cheering for G2 right now.
Yes, they are definitely cheering for G2. Let's see what happens. So G2's pick and ban phase very often is focused around trying to get a safe pick for expect and then set up the bot lane to carry. Puppey being banned away, though, is one of the safest choices up in that top lane, which is now gone because Smurf has been such a beast on it.
I do like taking that away. Time Kench banned as well, and there's Olaf and Nidalee, the bans there from ANX.
And probably we're going to have to see G2 ban Brand here. I don't want to see them repeat the same mistake they made last week where we had 3 mids in the game. That would be pretty unfortunate.
Have they learned, or are they going to play with fire in this game? Because we know Liquid wants to play it.
Oh, yeah.
But he also wants to play something like Bard, like he has more picks. Okay, so what G2 is doing, they're setting up for that Syndra first pick. You ban away the traditional counter in Vlad, and then you first pick Syndra unless the other team bans it.
Well, there's the ban. ANX do the smart thing and take that away. G2, lots of junglers open with the, I guess, 2 banned away, so excuse me, not at all true. We'll see if Trick wants to take maybe the best aggressive one left in the pool in Lee Sin, but lots of decisions here for G2, and pool is wide open for the bottom lane especially.
Yeah, I would like to actually see them wait on the Brand pick if they are going to go for it, because maybe G2 is doing this intentionally because they've discovered something that maybe other teams haven't, or that even ANX isn't aware of that can really hurt Brand. So don't pick it too early, but it's definitely on the table, and I definitely want to see it.
Definitely agree here. Last time ANX played G2, they got the Brand, and they had it in last rotation on blue side. They didn't rush it because no other support really plays it. And now, Time, you talked about the jungle pool. I still think it's pretty huge. You know, there are a lot of picks available, so I think your statement was actually okay. With like Skarner being in there, Lee Sin, Elise, like a lot of these different picks have been used. I don't specifically like first picking a jungler, so I actually think this is a much better call, but it's not exactly a pick they steal away from the Crit, who's heavily favored range support. So I think G2 kind of ran out of time when it came to their first
I mean, they
pick.
almost did. They pretty much used all their time to pick Alistar.
Great statement. That's color
pick.
casting right there. They ran out of time. The clock ticked down.
Yeah, and I don't understand the Alistar first pick at all. There's definitely a lot of other power picks that are available, but what they might be thinking is that, okay, well, even though there's a lot of power picks available, it doesn't necessarily mean that ANX picks them.
Right.
So they could just be waiting to see how the draft unfolds a little bit more before deciding to go in certain directions.
Exactly, and it's the situation briefly mentioned where, like, picking a jungler like Lee Sin when Elise is also available, like, you gain a very small advantage then, like a super small if your jungler is a sick Lee Sin player, but I don't think it's necessarily needed to first pick. That's why they didn't go for it. Locked in the Alistar. I think Mythi's going to show that what some of these other great supports have been doing, being very aggressive on Alistar, forcing plays, forcing roams, is what he wants to do now. But they do show a lot of the bot lane very early, especially if they lock in AD carry now.
Yeah, Lucian and Elise actually the picks for ANX, so we'll see what Trick has. You get jungle counter pick if that's relevant at all. He is flashing Graves, which used to be a good pick into Elise, kind of back when those junglers were in meta. We have seen Graves make his way back in, and Steos himself actually has been a big proponent of the pick, and of course had good success on it. G2, I think, picking pretty safe here. Sven's Ezreal looked very good in the last game they played despite the loss, so with 10 seconds left for G2 here, do they decide that these picks are what they want? It'd be very open for them. We'll see what happens here, but it looks like they'll settle for jungle AD carry. Graves Sivir, but there's Sivir and Graves probably following as well.
Yeah, so we get a new, I call it new jungle pick. We have seen it a few times, but it's not been among the most picked so far. What I want to see from G2 is I want to see a mid laner who can, of course, push that mid lane so you can actually play around Alistar and his roams. Because if you can start invading into enemy jungle with Graves Alistar, because your mid lane is already pushing, your AD carry is already pushing, that's really, really good for catching people off guard in the jungle. And then set up dives in mid lane, dives in bot lane, and kind of snowball the game, speed it up a little bit.
Yep. And one of the things that G2's draft has going for it right now is the Sivir component, so it does tend to blitz in and rush down, but I'm a little interested to see what they're going to go for in top and mid lane. Because Graves isn't the best champion at coordinating ganks for both of those lanes. And it looks like ANX with a Kennen and a Jace highlight, and that Kennen could be support.
Fair
With
enough.
ANX,
That's
it is
true.
possible.
Definitely true. It can be like a triple flex, basically, top, mid, and support. We haven't seen Kennen mid in ages, but Jace as well, obviously go 2 lanes. Do expect it to be Kiro playing the Jace mid, and then have a Miracle, sorry, not a Miracle, but Smurf play the Kennen top. But then you're showing both soul laners without actually seeing it from G2, so you actually allow G2 potential counter picks here in 2 lanes. Irelia is a good choice against AP top laners, where you can try and snowball in these very squishy mages up on top side, but it is fairly risky. Like, you gotta play around that top lane, and when G2's playing around Expect, we normally don't see a lot of good things happening.
Right. And there's that Brand highlight.
I love it.
You know, saying to Licrit, here's Brand. And the Aurelia is picked, maybe thinking that that's a Kennen top lane.
I mean, maybe that's the problem, right? Like, they kind of took the 2 best top laners left open, known for their aggression and their power. Like, Jace Kennen can kind of flex around. So is this tough for G2? They kind of have to guess what's happening in the solo lanes against the most unpredictable team. They settle with Ryze and Aurelia. But it'd be curious to see where those matchups goes. Perks, maybe not so lucky, but Expect kind of needs something to go right here in the draft as well.
Yeah, exactly. Aurelia falling behind is completely useless. Does
Oh my
absolutely
god, he locked
nothing.
in prom.
All right, I guess, whatever. We don't need Brand here.
Very standard. He's like, you know what? It's my last game. I want to win and get our team first. Give me the prom. I'll finally play something a little more conventional.
Super interesting. We actually see 2 comps that can play 1-3-1. We've seen a lot of team fighting compositions so far, but now this is Ryze in one side lane, it's Aurelia in the other side lane. 2 characters who can really snowball out of control and just beat you 1v1 and apply an insane amount of pressure. But at the same time, on the side of ANX, you know, Kennen can hold his own in a side lane. Jace, if he gets an early advantage, can duel almost everyone with the Ghost Blade. So this might be one of these games where 2 compositions clash so much in the early game, and one side can just snowball so hard, because if 1-3-1 come falls behind, ooh, it looks pretty bad.
It does indeed. And also, this is interesting to note. This is the first time Smurf is off a tank champion up there in the top lane. Now, Kennen is a little bit tanky, but he's more so of an off-tank AP carry.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see how he pilots that, because that's going to be a style that we haven't seen him on this tournament. One of the things that I'm worried about is you see the mid and the jungle dynamic in Ryze Graves, and realistically, against Elise Jace, they only ever have the ability to counter or match gank, whereas Elise and Jace can gank, can counter gank, can match gank, and they're a lot more flexible.
Well, don't forget to use your hashtag and support your team on Twitter. Ton of ANX fans from the last game. But hashtag G2 win. If you think they can take your game, maybe save some face. Or ANX now your favorites to take first in Group A. The crowd have been cheering for them, but use the hashtag ANX win if you agree out on Twitter. Albus NoX will take to the Rift one final time. So will G2. This is nuts to think that Albus NoX are even in this position. But if they take it, they're first. Yeah, I mean, here we are.
Here we are. They're definitely going to play in the quarterfinal next week. And I want to go back to this mid lane point you had, LS, because one of the things about Ryze is he's really good at setting up ganks. You know, early he has a 2-second snare. If you just spell flux first into the snare from him, instant root. Very effective if you have a ganking jungler. Yep. You don't really have a gank jungler, as you highlighted. So Ryze will actually hit a mid game point where he's not that strong with tier, with Catalyst when he goes Roar. ANX are actually deep invading now.
This is a beautiful level 1.
Oh, they're going to move around the corner. Sven is going to go back, and he's going to face check.
This feels
Oh,
very...
put
Oh, no, the ward's there, but Sven's...
Where are you going to go?
Where
are you going to go?
Exhaust is down. Mithy can't save him, and that'll be first blood. Who gets it? It is a miracle.
And we said in the last game that a lot of level 1s are very standard now. No one does anything crazy except for maybe CLG, but Albus NoX Luna, 5-man invading, and the big mistake here from G2 was they didn't have a single person scouting at the ramp near the Raptor camp, so they didn't get to see 5-man straight on invade in. And
Yeah.
Sven had no idea.
Perk's just waiting in mid lane. Doesn't really make any sense, and that's not the kind of start that G2 wants to this game because they're 0-5 so far tournament score, and you have to wonder how it affects their mental going into this game right now. And oh, they're not done yet.
I love it. Licorice going level 1 to mid this time. Gonna try and set something up. Perks get tagged again. Kira's in. Looks like the Jace is going for it, but Licorice just a bit of damage there. No summoner's burn.
Well, gets a bit of damage down, but he's now late to the bottom lane. Not the biggest fan of that Braum gank level 1. It's really, really hard to actually do anything in the mid lane. Such a short lane, and no one is overextended yet. Do it on Alistar every game, sure. Don't mind it. This one was a little bit aggressive from the crit, and actually does put them slightly behind on the push in the bottom lane. But Miracle obviously got a little bit of extra experience on his own.
Yep. And one of the things that I'm interested about, well, Trick actually coming up into top. I wonder if he's trying to make something happen, but this would be very awkward.
Ooh, nice. Very nice. Actually, as the damage is there, Trick.
They might have it.
Dive. End of the line, not enough. Smurf just chugging the potions, and Miracle did actually get it back in. He's got an extra longsword, and Mythy gonna get stunned at level 1 here. How did they beat them to level 2?
They got the first blood, obviously giving some extra bonus for them. Also, a Miracle sitting on an extra longsword, so he's going to be very strong here in the early game, making it very difficult for G2's bot lane to do anything. Expect he needs to snowball this game. Irelia needs to get off to a good start, get a Trinity Force, get a Hexdrinker, and then you can dive on Kennen 24/7. But it does require him to win his lane and for Trick to pay some attention towards the top side. For now, he's just going to tell PvP Stairs to get out of his house.
Oh, and this is a little bit dangerous by Miracle, playing with fire.
Kira moving around as well. Steos really wants to take this Raptor. No smites here. Cocoon's going to miss, but Liquid's actually in. He goes for another roam. That Q's going to miss, but Steos going to try and collapse in. That's the Force Flash. ANX playing up and aggressive in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, and they are all over G2 right now, and there is pressure being applied everywhere. However, one of the saving graces is actually Aurelia up there in that top lane, up teleport advantage. I can't see the lane right now, but Expect might even have the luxury of being able to just walk back to the lane, and he does actually have that luxury. So, huge advantage in the top lane already, though, for G2.
Ooh, looks like a big fight is about to happen.
Wow.
Yes, Expect with TP.
They also maybe got expecting to try and make a play snare up there, so Repel might save him. Liquid going back in with his caught out of position. That's a kill for Expect. Very key pickup for the top laner of G2.
Yeah, very important. He gets the kill. Otherwise, it would have been completely wasted for him to TP down just for an assist. Because now he's going to be much later getting back to that top lane. Even gets interrupted by Kira.
He just has to walk back now. He can't recall. There's no reason to recall now.
He's trying again, and then he realizes, you know what?
He heard us.
Yeah, he heard us. Yeah, okay, Alice is right. I'm just going to walk back top.
Yeah.
Mid lane, going to chug down some minions here with the hammer. Perk's going to go back because he's out of mana. As we are going to watch this one again. This was really nice, actually, from G2.
And this is actually set up by that teleport advantage that they had up there in the top lane. And so they're able to pick off the crit. They almost actually got Steos, but they're not able to actually translate that into a Mountain Dragon.
Yeah, the thing we have to question is, was the TP even needed in the first place? Kennen couldn't have joined, obviously with TP on cooldown. You already collapsed on the crit and PP Steos, who were overextended in there. Expect does get his kill, yes, but he was very far up in CS before. Now it is evened out, and Smurf actually managed to get back in this lane. At least until Expect goes back to base and spends some of that gold.
Yep.
Smurf going back though, he's going to spend some money, but Expect already well up and ahead. Despite the CS being even, you can see the gold difference there for Expect. He's up about 300 gold, and we talked about Kennen definitely struggling in the matchup. Have to see how Smurf navigates. It actually goes a emergency second Dorans and a refillable, plus a pair of brown boots. He is really aware of how much this lane can get out of control. He's just going for instant stats right now, trying to save the lane as best he can, because if he gets a good flank off with the ulti, Smurf's going to do his job. Be kind of like he did with Poppy in the last game.
I don't actually like the double Doran's Blade from Smurf here, because he's basically conceding that he's already lost the lane early on, and now he's still behind in gold, and that's going to stunt his build even more. So if we're looking at a mid-game power spike coming out of Aurelia, generally Aurelia's item is a little bit more expensive, Trinity Force versus Proto Belt, but because of that stunt via the Doran's Blade and the gold deficit that's already present, Aurelia's probably going to complete Trinity Force right around the same time that he gets Proto Belt.
Definitely so, and that's a big thing again, getting Trinity Force, because while the item itself is expensive, the components are very, very cheap and very powerful on their own for Aurelia. Every single one actually gives her quite some value. We need to see if PvP Steos wants to visit the top lane. It is hard to gank in Irelia. She has flash as well. There's a pink ward placed in the river from Expect, so he has a lot of vision around him. Very hard to gank him here on the blue side. You just, as an Elise, basically have to walk up the river, and that's your only path to kind of kill him. And he's gonna spot it.
Yeah, does have the Raptor buff there, but Expect's booked it already. Does have a Phage now built up. So going to walk his way back. Doesn't have teleport, but plenty of space after he pushed in the lane. Trick was bottom lane trying something on the Graves, but not really working out. And CS is even back up. Double Drone's nice and aggressive. Double Longsword, excuse me, nice and aggressive from a Miracle. But Sven and Mythia have been just fine in this lane, and we expected some pressure. It didn't quite happen.
Yeah, and I'm wondering when's the last time they saw Trick, if they saw that he had the tier 2 boots, because if they did see that, that's an indicator of what he wants to do. And when Steos is already ahead on jungle itemization and going into that item and has the wards out, then you're able to basically just say to each other, okay, he has tier 2 boots, he's looking to make stuff happen, all we have to do is live a few minutes.
The pink ward did get cleared by Smurf after Expect recalled again to get the Phage, and now he's gonna get ganked.
Oh, flash in there, but he's actually gonna get stunned after a cocoon chain in very nicely. Expect gonna get it turned around. Transcendent Blaze might be enough to save his life. He needs the help, but it is not enough. Elise with the kill.
Steos just got outside of the tower range, didn't go down. Expect using flash and that'd been double longsword. Probably would have died. Just saying, let's move on. Perk's getting attacked.
Snare there, but Kira's going to jump back in. Lightning Shield still going in, but Kira just bats him out of the way. Blue buff for Perks is kind of creating a little imbalance in that trade. Kira ghosted him from some good aggression, but Perks has kind of floated the lane quite nicely as we'll watch this gank again.
This is just Smurf clearing out the pink ward, and then Elise can actually move and gank from the river, and Expect this time around gets caught out without any vision and ends up going down. Close in the end, yes, even closer after Trick joined.
And they know that Trick actually can't be there for the counter gank or match gank because he was handing off blue to Perks.
Ooh, very nice. Catches the Miracle, actually. Licorice moves in. The heal burnt. Mithy in trouble there as Lycone's going to move back down. The other Q hits from the crit, and now Mithy is in trouble in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
With Summoners up, though. Should be okay for G2.
And this is really so bad now for G2 because the lane that was supposed to win and get an advantage is now falling slightly behind. There's an assist on the side of the cannon. He gets, you know, a free pass right now. And then we got to look at two champions, one in mid lane, one in bot lane, the Lucian and the Jace, building Ghostblade first, against an AD carry who wants Essence Reaver and a mid laner who wants a Rod of Ages. So that is much slower for G2 to get. So we're going to get this big mid-game spike here for Albus NoX Luna with the Ghostblades coming, being really strong and ready to fight in multiple lanes at once.
Yeah, and with Theos having fixed top lane up, Kennon's going to be on pace to get that Proto Belt, so expect huge things coming out of ANX when it reaches around the 12-13 minute mark.
Yep.
And it's going to be on G2 to sort of weather the storm there and try to sustain until they get into the 20-25 minute mark where their items are going to then complete and take over the game.
And one of the things I want to see from G2, if they actually get a chance to push out this bot lane, is Mythy getting early Moby boots and start roaming. It's what other Alistars have been doing here at Worlds. They're super active on the map because the combination of an Alistar gank in mid lane and a 2-second point-and-click snare versus a Jace who has no cleanse. That is almost a guaranteed kill for G2. And it's something you can use to kind of slow down this mid-game spike from Albus NoX Luna and not just sit back and let them get the items.
They have started again. It's 2v2 soon, but Trick makes it there first. Kira stunned up there by Perks, I believe, but now Steos is going to keep them out. And they're going to keep trading in. Steos, bit of damage there from the Q. Now has to repel. Gets to a pink ward, I believe. Very creative, and Smurf's down here now. Expect hasn't made it in time. The stun's going to move in. Trick does go down, and Perks gets stunned as well. ANX just collapsed first, but Expect going to try and play clean up. Smurf getting greedy. He wants to kill his Perks. Flashes out of the way, and Expect does turn it around for a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, and there's that counter gank potential that I was talking about where Elise and Jace have that luxury, but Perks and Trick do not. They don't have it there. Unfortunately for them, though, Smurf was able to rotate down quicker, be there, and then pick up a kill. But then he went a little too hard, and he ended up getting punished.
Also a classic Trick move, I feel, on the international stage. Just wanted to go a little bit too far. Really want to get that one kill, flashes aggressively forward, ends up getting caught here. G2 could have just gotten the flash from the Jason and backed away, and then ganked the mid lane again with the Rise Snare. This is how risky it is for Jace, really. If he goes aggressive, he gets 2-second snare. We don't want to watch it. We're going to watch Jace die.
Kira's going to get soloed out. Trick destroys him. as he face checks the Raptors.
What was Kira trying to do without Flash and no one around him?
Raptors, baby.
Either Raptors or ganking. But he probably wanted to try and shock blast the Rise from the side and then try and jump him. But Trick decided to jump Kira first.
Wins out that time as Smurf, I believe, also TP to that rotation, so Expect will hold the advantage there on Summoners. Also explains why Smurf got there first. So a good collapse for Albus NoX, but these trades probably pretty happy for G2, and they got a kill for themselves. Mithy, oh, that's awkward. Gives them the free pass over the wall. Nice little cocoon there as well from Steos, just to make sure it's okay, but starting to push in now as ANX's bottom lane getting shoved in by the Sivir, as that's amazing.
And one of the things I want to mention right now is you know that G2's bottom lane wants to recall. You know also that Expect has teleport advantage over Smurf. However, this is proto belt timing. So one of the things that you can synergize is you can actually rotate Smurf down immediately to Dragon and then win back over teleport advantage that way. While their bottom lane of G2 is recalling, you can capture Dragon.
We'll see if they get it done, but looks like Smurf actually is going for a bit of a walk, so nice call there. Gank from Stayhos did get a summoner, so not too bad on that front as well.
The only issue for them is Miracle's now out of mana after trying to push out that wave. Seems like everyone wants to go back, and you highlighted that TP advantage, LS, just before. Means G2 does have the option to make a play on the bottom side. You have a level 7 Alistar, he has ulti. You can put a ward behind that bot lane tier 1 tower and then TP in with your Relia, and that should be fairly easy kills. But we haven't seen that decisive shot calling from G2 in this tournament, where like you have like a global advantage and you should just make a play on the other side. Oh, Expect that. He really wants to play aggressive on top though.
Yeah, they've got flashes. Good stun from Smurf. His trick was coming up, might save him, but here's a couple more from ANX. They bring Licorice and Kira.
Oh, and Trick doesn't know about this.
Oh no, that's bad news, Bears. Ulti's into them for a bit of style, and now Expect maybe getting himself caught here as well. He does have flash still. Nice little juke around. He's going to try and take out Smurf, but the ulti's there. Exhaust is down, and Albus NoX get 2.
This is why I just talked about making a play in the bottom lane. You have TP advantage, but if you play against the champion who can't follow the globals anyway, well then you just even it out instantly. Trick doesn't expect any members to be there, and him shooting backwards really tells the story for G2 this tournament.
Yep, and Expect tries to go for a trade on Smurf, but honestly, it's not worth it. I think just try to live there. I think he had more than enough time to try to get out of there. So a little bit surprising. And now ANX, they're in the driver's seat, and they're still pretty far ahead because G2 is still ways away from when that Rise is going to start to become powerful.
Just keeps happening there. Licorice, you can see, taking a stretch after that play. Nice little roam there. Stay in limbo as
He's already out of
way up
clutch,
to the top. Yeah,
relax.
He's relaxing. His turn. Actually, oh no, don't get 1v1 by a miracle. Licorice there, but can't convert for the rest of the kill. Mithy out warding, and that Ghostblade Lucian, you can see, so tough as Venta 1v1.
Yes, the item spikes we talked about. Jay's gonna get it soon. Still really have to criticize G2 for not trying to use that TP advantage and opting into a one-on-one 2v2 fight against the Kennen who couldn't move. They got punished for it again. Albus NoX Luna with a 1,000 gold advantage. And now, when you have these Ghost Blades completed from the AD carry, you can start pushing up the bot lane, and that always opens up for objectives like the Dragon.
One of the problems here is that ward actually just gave Graves away. Because you know at this level of play, when a ward goes into a brush, people are going to click it, they're going to mouse over that, see who placed it. They know exactly where Trick is right now.
Trying to ulti the Dragon, maybe? Nah.
Smoke screens it, give it a go.
Whatever, 50 damage.
A little lazy, but ANX will get the first Drake of the game. And it will be Mountain Drake, so we'll see if the pace picks up and they can knock down some structures. Right now, ANX are up in goal, but not by too much. G2 have done a good job sort of fighting back and forth. The game really hasn't broken out just yet, and they've got the power now. Is Smurf going to get himself stunned by Expect? But Smurf's actually pretty strong here, and Expect doesn't have the T-Force yet, so not sure he can win the matchup right now.
Yeah, when the Trinity Force comes in, it's going to completely change the dynamic of this lane. Unfortunately, no double AP in mid, so Aurelia can't go Wit's End, which is something that, you know, might have been able to have an earlier item spike earlier, but not so relevant. And now Trick moving up here because he senses a counter gank, and this is all that Graves can actually do right now.
And also we see two supports. Whenever supports recall in this meta, they never run back to bot lane straight away. They run through mid lane, and then decides, okay, can we make a play maybe top side? And then they move up there, so both supports are up here. Both junglers are here as well. That's going to be a big fight.
They're going for it, actually, but Mithy's not going to make it in. Smurf going to get punted back with a cocoon. Might have tagged the Expect. Mithy with a big pole drive, and Smurf is over the ulti. Gets blocked by Bromy. Expect goes down.
used everything right into the wall of Braum, and he didn't manage to kill anyone. Kira is here now just for safety, will back away. Another skirmish lost by G2. A lot of abilities wasted as well.
Yep. And it looks like Stayhost now is going to move mid lane.
Goodbye. Oh, it's a... Oh, is it a prank? It was not. It's actually going to go in, but that's a flash force. Perks goes in, wants the big play. Going to wait for Elise to rappel back down. Misses that first Q, but the snare's in there, and Rise does more than enough damage. He's trying to cut around those Spiderlings, doing a nice job.
Oh my God!
What a save!
Oh.
That was gorgeous.
Oh. He bought so much time with the Spiderlings blocking, or trying to make the Spiderlings block, and Liquid shows up, and nothing is in favor of G2 right now. Every time they have a skirmish, they just lose out slightly. Take this one, look at this one again.
So Kennen comes in here, ulties, gets the stun off on expect, and then Mithy, his exhaust is a little bit late. It doesn't matter so much, and then that Unbreakable absorbs everything. Mithy gets locked up, and it's basically just complete failure for G2, mostly because of the way that they timed their abilities.
You can see the gold, it's not really creeping up. ANX are out playing in these situations, but aren't converting for objectives just yet, so the game is nice and close. Rise and Civil will start powering up, expect. He must have so much gold hanging out right now. Actually, not enough for the Trinity Force, I don't think. My math is very bad. There's a chance he actually does have it. He is certainly close.
But what you want to do is G2, or an option for G2 really as a play they can make, is if they want to try and get it really further ahead, is that you try and actually put your support in jungle topside again, and then just try and dive the cannon. Last time Albus managed to match it, and it was just a 3v3 skirmish. But if you can get the push bot lane and push it out with your Sivir, and then you can recall, you can even send Sivir with you to topside, and you just make a delayed lane swap, and you try and take down this tower. I like this so far with Trick, what we just mentioned, try and get Irelia further ahead and get this tower, and Albus right now not responding anywhere on the map. Mithy's recalling, he can also path to top lane to send even more members, and then all they need is mid lane push. Make sure Perks can at least track Kira so they know where he is, and then you can actually go for that top lane tower and get that first tower gold, which you really need if you're G2.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, because of how far behind G2 did fall, normally they would want the lane phase to continue on because they have that quest item inside of Rise. They have very expensive items inside of Aurelia and Graves. So normally they would like to have the laning phase extend as long as possible, but because of the things that are happening in this game, they need it to end sooner rather than later, and then try to make some sort of fight happen around the next dragon and win it.
Yeah, exactly, and I just want to see them have that gold advantage first and be able to push that top lane past the tier 2, because then you can also start roaming Aurelia down through enemy jungle, you start taking away farm. So many of these outer turrets are fairly low, and that's why you see G2 roaming around at the moment. But the strongest member is sitting top lane in that 1v1, and that's why you want to play around it.
Yep, Trinity Force up for expect now, so maybe going to start to flip the matchup a bit. Rotovator's charging up for Perks as well, and the Essence Reaver plus Azeel and Berserker Greaves are all done for G2, so need a couple more minutes now perhaps to sort of get themselves to those second key items. For ANX, they finished their Ghost Blades, they're starting to work on the next few items. Turret bottom lane does go down, and that's G2 to actually pick it up there. ANX kind of took their foot off, and yeah, G2 capitalized well.
That was just a free bot lane tower, honestly. They've been working on it for quite some time. Let's see what happens mid. He's not really going anywhere.
Good collapse here. Stayos just can't get out of this one. No dancing around as Kira's going to fire out where he can, but who they want to give it to, I think they're going to donate to Perks, but Trick autos and steals it away.
Trick says, I've seen this before, so...
Not waiting this time.
Yeah.
But that was really just a free tower for G2 in the bottom lane. Kira had recalled mid, so Perks could roam from the mid lane, and as soon as the mid laner roams and your mid lane is not there for backup, you have to just step away from turrets. You cannot risk getting dove by things like Alistar Rise, so that's to surrender that bot lane tower. And that was almost too easy for G2. Didn't even have to make a massive play for it. That's one tower. Mid lane tower is low. Top lane tower is low as well. G2 can get a lot of gold soon.
Smurf again, another nice stun, but expect you can start to see how much easier it is to pressure this top lane 1v1. Smurf just has to respect the power spike from Relia right now. Miracle in the meantime is clearing things out, and Mountain Drake is back up right now, so if ANX want another objective, you could maybe snowball it over, and these turrets would start to melt as the game drags on. They're in position to start it up, but G2 should be ready to respond. Recall timing's just a touch off, perhaps.
Yeah, and Smurf still doesn't have teleport, and he is up there in the top lane. He's also pulling a lot of gold, so We're going to see if they're just going to burst this down, which is, it's looking like what they want to do, and they do already have a Mountain Drake, so there's a lot of extra damage added to this. A little bit interesting.
Here comes the challenge from G2, though.
They don't
Try and
have
force them out, and ANX, again, show some restraint. Don't move themselves in. Smurf, it's so close, but he's actually running down quickly. ANX might extend to try and take this.
Yeah, G2 can just kind of hover around here because Expect will take that top tower and he can just TP down for a fight. As long as G2 does not get hard engaged or surprised by the cannon.
What did you say? Smurf goes in, but he gets exhausted. Damage is there, but Kira actually flashes on his Venom, forced him away for now. Perk down here as well. Damage in the front side is nice from the Ryzen. Here comes Expect. Gonna play cleanup. Ulti is not quite enough. Wants one, doesn't get it as the Repel moves down, and a Miracle's gonna kite it out, but Kira goes down to Perks. ANX trying to run their way out because G2 are now on the offensive. Expect takes out Stayos. That's 2 for nothing so far.
And that was a huge win for G2. The timing of the exhaust by Mithy was absolutely clutch for turning that team fight right now. And the problem is oh, and A Miracle is probably going to go down here too.
From Mithy. Finds him, and there's another one.
To Aurelia. And so right now, the problem, they even raised mid-tier 2 turret. G2's team composition now takes over. This is the timing that we talked about earlier where we said that in a normal game, they would be ahead, but now they have so many advantages stacked on top of each other, and the scaling is just out of control.
Exactly, they moved past the point where it's that one item Ghost Blade really dominated the game. No, you have full stack Rod of Ages, you have 2 items on Sivir. This team fight is ANX engaging very split up. Kira is also out of mana when the fight actually starts, and no one is really able to get enough damage down. It was a fine flank from Smurf, but there was really no follow-up with the flank.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to point out is that leading up to this, ANX was a little bit indecisive with the Dragon, and even when they funnel into River at that point, G2 actually has the option to be like, okay, you can't get that, I'm just going to raise your mid-tier 1 turret
exactly.
and push mid.
Going for that Dragon was just such a risky call because no matter what happened almost, G2 could either just stay around Dragon and just say, you're not going to start it because we have TP. If you move down your top laner without a global, we take a free top tower and we can still take the fight. And also now you're hovering around the Dragon towards the bottom side, so your mid tower is also open, it's very low. There were basically just gold everywhere for G2 to pick up, and ANX just put themselves in a corner. And the only way out was to fight, really, and it was super uncoordinated.
Yep, so they fought, and look what happened. G2 are up 4,500 gold, almost 5,000 gold actually, which is significant given both the comp and the situation they found themselves in before. ANX sort of lost their window. We'll see if they can work some magic. We did see it in the last game versus Rocks Tigers, but G2 now firmly in the driver's seat.
We talked about Ghost Blade spikes earlier. LS, if 180 carry has 2 fully completed items and another BF sword to a Ghost Blade 80 carry who didn't even complete his Black Cleaver yet, I feel like that's kind of unfair.
Yeah, it is pretty unfair.
Ooh, that was cute.
Although the Black Cleaver does have synergy with their mid laner. Jace will get a lot of power from that when it comes to the mid game. But the issue is for ANX is that they're going to be heavily reliant on picks because the Jace poke isn't really going to work because G2 can just go full on offensive with that Alistar, with that Aurelia. But then the question comes, what do you do at 4 or 5 items when Aurelia, Graves, and Sivir all have QSS?
Ooh.
You cry, I guess?
I mean, this is a little bit sad time. So Smurf pops the ulti, but blown up again as Expect just takes him out with a Blade Surge. Might even go for it, but G2 instead will just fall back to the Drake, it seems.
This game is looking so good for G2. Sadly for them, it is way too late. They have 0 chance of making it out of this group here. They are locked down in the bottom. Can pick up a win for some confidence, obviously.
I mean, like we said, they're just playing spoiler as the Drake goes over to G2. I think it is funny that it looks so far to be their cleanest game of the tournament. It is, of course, their last game where they have unfortunately nothing to play for than maybe a bit of pride. We'll see if Albus NoX Luna, they can see that first place in the group in their sights. They're going to need to really dig deep here and try something. Or G2 will pick up a win. And for ANX, it's just crushing to lose a game like this. And for G2, you know what? They'll take it. It's a good way to end their tournament.
So you have to highlight the fact that ANX has played a 65-minute long game, had 15 minutes break, and is now playing again. Does make it difficult if you just spend all your energy in that last game. But honestly, right here, they've been making mistakes. G2 have been punishing them across the map. And we have a massive goal lead at 26 minutes. And this mid-game spike, it's gone.
Yeah, and we're also starting to see one of the problems with the tier list variant of Jace, where he goes very quickly. And so the poking aspect that they wanted to maybe have inside of their team composition isn't really there. And so Jace just becomes this giant physical damage bruiser that he doesn't really do anything against a Ryze or against a Graves.
He's not going anywhere.
What's he going to do? Yeah.
He's got a Dust Blade. So he's like, you know what? I don't need mana. I just need one combo. Don't take it as squishy as Smithy. Nice pulverize to protect his team, but he can attack and pops his in response. And G2 going to waddle on out. Oh, Perks maybe with a catch. That's big damage. 2 items there for the Ryze ulti. Oh, that's it! It Perks! Huge play!
It's about to be Trick again. This is so aggressive. Dashing forward, but this time they actually get a kill. And we just see Albus NoX Luna getting caught out in their own jungle. Really hard for him to have any sort of pressure on the map. If you look at the minimap, there's almost no red wards. You can see there's no lanes really pushing in favor of you, and that's why Baron is now being started. Jungler is dead. They have zero vision of this, and they're not even moving yet. Now they're actually reacting.
Yep, the jungler is dead, and with that Mountain Drake, this Baron is being shredded so quickly, and now they're going to recall, and Ryze is about to get a lot of damage and a lot of effective HP off of that Seraph's Embrace. So if they couldn't deal with G2 before, what are they going to do now when Ryze basically just got like 2 items?
It is almost impossible for Albus NoX Luna to win the game at this point. Did not get to use their Ghost Blades at all. Had some lanes that struggled against G2 and lost all these outer turrets without actually doing anything in return. They just eventually went down from either the 2v2 laning bot or when Albus NoX Luna went for that dragon, which was a very, very poor call.
One of the things that I think is interesting is that ANX were not able to translate their early advantages into enough of a lead across the map. And then also, funnily enough, that early dragon that Stayhost took, the respawn time of the next dragon directly synergized with when they would get their, G2 Esports would get their power spike items. And so it actually worked against ANX.
Well, we have another mountain coming up at G2. Everything's on full blast right now. Baron buff starting to push down these lanes, and that gold gap is growing insanely quickly. They're already 8k up, or 8.5 almost here. We saw them 4, now 6, now 8. The gold lead continues to grow and really just spiral out of control. ANX, they're going to need more than 1 pick now to really stay in this unless G2 make a horrendous misplay or 2. They're in position to try and take this game and really spoil the first place dreams for ANX.
And no one can stop expecting a side lane. Smurf just gave up the lane. He went to mid lane, tried to defend there instead. That's another outer turret now for G2. Meaning that if G2 keeps playing across multiple lanes and just spread out Albus NoX Luna, the cannon will never get into a good position for like a massive ulti that can turn the game around. The poke from Jace almost means nothing right now. He can only fire a few of them, and then he's out of mana. So G2 can just keep everything spread, and once the defense falls apart, Mithy will just dive on this Alistar.
Yep. Now they're just continuing to rotate around the map and wrap the stranglehold around ANX that much tighter. Baron, though, will be wearing off momentarily. It's a little bit over halfway done, so they're probably going to recall, get more items. I'd like to see a lot of defensive items come out from G2 right now. Given that you're so far ahead, the only hope for ANX is some sort of a pick, some sort of miracle play of abusing your lack of vision. And if you deny that ability, then you set yourself up to just remove any hope that they have.
Well, it's looking clean right now for G2, playing exceptionally well with their Baron buff. Expect with the TP level 15, with a second damage item for the Maw, and now a bit of tank ability coming out. He's splitting up. We've got G2 shoving 3 different lanes with Baron empowered minions, and ANX is going to have to take it for a little while longer. Stale's going to try and make a play, but Sven says no. Spell shields that cocoon, and they'll just waddle back in with the Baron up minions in a few seconds.
The best Albus NoX Luna can hope for is that the Baron buff disappears, all inhibitors are still alive, and you delay the game another 4 to 5 minutes. The problem is G2, they keep pushing. Tower's down to 50%. It's gonna drop.
The crit can only block so much, can't block enough for that turret to stay alive. Expect's going to take this as well, and Perks is here, so Smurf might just get jumped on. G2 though, they want a bit more. They're going to try and take this in if Steos looks for Cocoon, doesn't find it. The crit moving forward as well, does have the ulti. Does he dare pull the trigger? Trick does get himself out of the way, and now it's 2v2 top. Perks is so strong as well. ANX just can't have too much stuff going on. It's sort of all crumbling around them at this stage.
And this is a really nice 2-3 being executed by G2, but can't forget the Ryze ultimate. The Ryze ultimate can instantly just turn it into a 5v or 5v3. So there is a split push going on that's a little bit wonky, but G2 is completely in a demanding position to take this next Mountain Dragon, and then recall, and then shove up all 3 lanes.
And if we just look at this group now, we know the map is going to reset, we have a bit of time. It is so crazy with Albus NoX and Luna, because even after they potentially secure first place in the group, no one is going to look at them and say, oh, they're better than ROX Tigers. You know, in a BO5, they'll definitely beat the ROX Tigers. No one is going to say that. No one is actually going to really believe in them in a best of 5 against some of the other top teams in the world. And a game like this kind of backs up that point as well, where it's going to sound crazy, but in order to like be a top 8 team in the world, they have to actually show even more than they have, because they got to show it in a BO5 format. What we can't praise them for is the amazing performance in the group stage, surprising people, playing so well with these comfort picks for them, and they've definitely looked better than some of these other teams, and they fully deserve to get out of the group. But a game like this highlights that there still are some issues for them.
One of the things for me, I think, that says a lot is that this is the first time that we're seeing Smurf on any sort of a carry-type champion, and his performance hasn't been the best. He botched the laning phase really early. It was recovered by Steos, but then he continued to lose it a little bit. And so this tournament, we've only seen him actually play the tank, so this game might actually be highlighting one of the vulnerabilities that ANX as a team has.
There's a lot going on. I mean, Liquid's playing a very conventional support. I laughed about it in Champs League because it's so unusual, but he's not been the same sort of big playmaker. And granted, G2 have just got to snowball this game pretty much out of control at this point. They're 13,000 gold ahead at 32 minutes. So can't take too much away from what's happening right now. ANX digging deep, just trying to hold on. Because if they can win another miraculous game, they will take first in the group. But looking unlikely as G2 might pick up their first win.
And normally you try to find a lot of positives when you look at international wildcard teams at Worlds, see what they do well, how can they win games. But now Albus NoX Luna has already kind of entered the next tier, where people start judging them among every other top team in the world, because they are looking to go into that quarterfinal. And that's why now we got to start looking at some of the mistakes and highlight some of the weaknesses. Even though they have played so well before this, G2 is exposing them right now.
And one of the interesting things is that because ANX is so reliant on sticking together as a 5v5 team, they actually can't even respond to a 1-1-3 right now. So G2 has a lot of gears they can activate. 2-0-3, 3-0-2, 1-1-3, 3-1-1, and ANX doesn't have a proper answer to it. And the Mountain Dragons aren't doing them any help, and Baron's coming up soon.
Yeah, and the very funny thing about the split push and the different numbers, it basically just means, you know, where do you move your members on the map. If you have the 3 members in the mid and the 2 split pushes on the sides, that's the 1-3-1. And it can obviously sound a little bit crazy when you hear a lot of different numbers, but it is actually very simple. It literally just depends on which lane you put your members in. Do you have 1 guy in the side lane? Well, that's the 1. Do you have 3 guys in the mid lane? That's the 3. It's very simple to follow, and it is really what split push is all about. Keep rotating these numbers around.
Yep, and be dynamic, move people around, and take a Baron, I guess, is next on the menu for G2. Not quite in position just yet. ANX did pop a pink ward in the backside as Ven, bit of swagger there, pops the flare up. G2 might even look to try and close the game out. Expect again is going to have that bottom line pressure going with the teleport ready. Smurf busy clearing minions, and there's a wide open hole for Expect to try and exploit here in the bottom lane.
It's been a good game from someone like Mithy here. He's actually played really well this tournament. He had 1 or 2 off games maybe, but the team has lost a lot of games. He's actually looked good in every other game he's played, and this game on Alistar, it's a pick that really has become like a top tier support pick now, because you can just make so many plays with it, and people don't win just 2v2 laning phase.
One of the things that G2 could actually do right now is, because of the double Mountain Drake component, they could just look to 3-man Baron and have Ryze and Expect in bottom lane, because Expect has teleport and Ryze has his ultimate, which can then be used to flank ANX if they try to retreat through their red side jungle, and there's no turret up there in top lane. So there is a macro play which would just completely asphyxiate ANX, and they're not making use of it.
Pretty unconventional one, but certainly a cool option, and that's sort of the story right now. G2 have everything available to them. In fact, Perkz is going to go, and Kira almost going to go through, and now Perkz wants it more. Looking for Leclerc, going to try and find it. Dustbird fucking everywhere. Oh, that's awkward. ANX trying to punish, but not going to happen. Trick gets Cocoon, but Mithy going to save the day, and Expects in the backline. Going to get 1. Going to look to hop down and try and get another. Aurelia goes ballistic in the team fight, and G2 might just clean house here.
And it's definitely looking like with that minion wave up there in top lane, this is probably going to be the final push. Death timer's too high, no ultimate up on a Miracle, so it's not like Lucian's going to be able to try to push this wave back. And it looks like G2 keeping CLG and the ROX Tigers' hopes alive to still secure that first place seed in Group A.
Very, very spicy game, but G2 will take it. ANX will pick up another loss. GT, the only winner of the tournament. They played spoiler, though. And all of a sudden, our last game is very interesting.
Definitely so. Like, next game means so much. If CLG wins the next game, ROX Tigers are out of the World Championship. Because of the 2-0 record. If the ROX Tigers win that game, they force a tiebreaker with Albus NoX Luna for first place. So super, super interesting. G2 can be happy they picked up a win in the end. 1-5 is how they finished the tournament. That is just a very sad truth for the #1 European team.
But they did what what CLG and ROX needed them to do. They ended up pulling out a win against ANX here. And I think also what they did for a lot of other teams at the tournament, if ANX goes forward, is they exposed one of the weaknesses that ANX seems to have, which is Smurf maybe can't